So the PLA is not withdrawing from the border. If anything, it is planning to tighten its control. The Chinese president, the commander-in-chief of China's armed forces, is fortifying Tibet, making plans to kill its tradition, its culture, its way of life. Xi Jinping calls it the Sinicization of Tibet, meaning making Tibet more Chinese. Over the weekend, he chaired a high-level meeting in China. Chinese state mouthpieces carried some photographs. Xi Jinping was attending the 7th Central Symposium on Tibet Work. This basically is China's highest-level meeting on Tibet. And the Chinese president had two clear goals for the attendees. Number one, make the Communist Party the only religion in Tibet. And number two, crush dissent. Xi Jinping delivered a speech and he wanted senior leaders to implement a series of steps to meet these two goals. You can call this Xi Jinping's three-step plan to take over Tibet. Step number one, promote the Sinicization of Tibetan Buddhism. In other words, Buddhism with Chinese characteristics is what Xi Jinping wants. The message is clear. After Christians and Muslims, he wants to kill the religious freedom of the Buddhists in China. How will he do it? That's step number two. Xi Jinping wants officials to strengthen political and ideological education in Tibetan schools. He wants to re-educate them. He said the officials need to, and I'm quoting, plant the seeds of loving China in the depths of hearts of every youth. Does this sound familiar? I'll ask the Uyghurs. China plans to implement the Xinjiang playbook in Tibet, replace religious texts with the Communist Party rulebook and influence young minds so that they follow the diktats of the Communist Party. And step number three, Xi Jinping wants his officials to build an impregnable fortress around Tibet. The Chinese president was quite specific about this. He wants officials to strengthen border defense and frontier security of Tibet, which means strengthen security to crush the dissent that is brewing in Tibet. Xi Jinping added that it is necessary to educate Tibetans to strengthen the struggle against separatism. That statement gives it away. That's what all of this is about. The Chinese president is worried about the dissent that is brewing in Tibet. And in the garb of building a new socialist modern Tibet, he basically wants to make sure that all calls for independence are crushed. Because a united voice for freedom will be a serious challenge for Beijing to tackle. Consider this one statement from Xi Jinping, and I'm quoting again. We must adhere to the strategic thinking that governing the country must govern the borders and stabilize Tibet before governing. It is necessary to maintain the unity of the motherland and strengthen national unity as Tibet's work. It may sound complicated, but the message is very simple, really. Stabilize Tibet before governing. And in Xi Jinping's eyes, Tibet needs to be stabilized, so he has ordered senior officials to sinicize Buddhism, re-educate the students, and fight those who call for separatism. Why is China suddenly worried about the stability of Tibet? The reason is quite simple. This is about the Dalai Lama. China wants to install its own choice as the next Dalai Lama, but it faces opposition from young Tibetans. They say Beijing has no right to choose the next leader. There is no clear successor. And given the Dalai Lama's age and health, Beijing perhaps anticipates an upheaval in the near future. So Xi Jinping wants to impose his will on Tibetans. He's deploying the same tactics, the ones that he used against the Muslims in Xinjiang. China has turned to cultural genocide to seize control in Tibet.